and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shape the game. I'm Dean Gemmel, and in this edition, recorded this past July but posted during the weekend of the AMJ Van Line's Shorty Jenkins Classic on the Asham World Curling Tour, we talked to the man who is, indeed, a classic. The man in pink who's done more for curling ice than water, Shorty Jenkins, welcome to The Curling Show.
Hello there, young fellas. I'm very happy to be invited to this.
Hey, Shorty, I know you've sort of essentially retired from making the ice at big events these days, but I also know you're not the kind of guy who just sits around and watches the grass grow. So how do you fill your time these days?
I retired, as you know, 7 years ago, also from the golf business, too. But what I'm doing now is I help a lot of clubs. I've been to Korea 3 times to teach them how to make ice and what type of rocks they need and things like that. And I've been going back to train them now how to do meltdowns, and which I've taught them. They just love it. I had to design a water system for them there. They couldn't get over why it's very important to have purified good water when the water was very bad there too, see? So it makes the ice consistent, doesn't go flat, doesn't get greasy.
Speaking of water, do you think that was the problem with that they encountered in Hamilton this year?
No, I be honestly with you now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock Dave. Dave's been with me since 1969, as you know. You probably do. I used to teach him how to curl and everything, but he's my baby, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, I was in Korea at the time, and I could see it on TV. What's going the hell's going on here? So I said this. I was there in 1996, and so was he with me at the World. But what I did, I dusted the beams down in the fall of '95. And that's all his major problem was, as far as I'm concerned. I know he has some water problem. We'll get to that in a minute. But the major was they were blaming all the curves. It was their fault. They were the equipment they had, and that was what it was. They're getting tons of picks. You could actually see it coming down if you look from the sideways in the viewing. Just coming right down like crazy. And a lot of spectators were asked, what the hell's going on, sir? They knew, how come you're not making the ice for this like you did in '96? I said, no comment. And then anyway, they said, what's this stuff all coming down? I said, the ice maker had to put that in to make the ice work better. I was just, fibbing or lying, I guess you could say, trying to protect his ice. But, yes, water was a problem.
But you think there was dust in the building rather than dust from rocks? Dust was
coming down and causing the pick.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And he was blaming them for the curves doing all the damage. But he knew about the water. What it is they used to purify water jet ice. I guess you understand what they used anyway. And they ran their tanks ran up, but they using the pH paper, and it's probably been a year or 2 years old and you don't get a true reading. Where Hans, Eric Montfort, and myself, we have our own gauges, which cost a lot of money, just to reading it so you don't have any get caught with your pants down, I guess you call it. We have this gauge and then checks it every day, twice a day. Those little pieces of Lipton paper, it doesn't do anything. That's not the way to go if you're a professional head ice maker. Like I thought Dave would have had one year, but he doesn't have one, and so therefore he had the problems. And I was there, and I sent an email back to Eric Montfort, who in turn talked to Hans. They both talked to him, tried to tell him what he should be doing and get rid of that. And they had reverse osmosis hooked onto the tank, which made things worse. He was using city water for a while after the tanks went out. Well, we know that's terrible too. It makes it worse, makes it greasy and sticky, which you're going to get a lot of picks too. So anyway, I guess he didn't listen to them anyway, didn't know exactly what he asked to do. Then I got there only on the Saturday of the semifinals before Glenn was playing the semis against Gushu.
Right.
Yeah. He said, Shorty, come over here for a minute. He's waiting by the flag bearers to march on. We have this hat for you, a pink hat, eh? And we got all the sign. We'd love it if you've done so much curling. We'd love to give you this hat. And I said, holy smoke, you got to be kidding. It's a Team Howard one I have.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I thanked him, and then I, on the side, because I know that they've sanded the rocks during the event. Well, I found this out through some good friends of mine. But the curling knew there was something wrong. The ice was bad, but they didn't know, because when they matched the rocks on Friday, before the event started, they had them all in their book, and now they're not coming out the same on Monday and Tuesday, you know what I mean? They sanded the rock. You do not do that. And that was another sin. So what I did to Grant, I casually talked to him, said, listen, you better double-check your rocks. And what for? I said, then what, I'll tell you later. You just double-check your rocks. Which he did. I wasn't going to tell him. And then I told him the same thing on the final. But I ain't going to tell you. I'll tell you after the event's over. So then the next day I did, and Jan said, holy shit, I knew there was something wrong, he said. But they weren't done. They were planning on doing it again for the semifinal final, but they didn't do it, I found out. Twice during the week they were doing it. It's tough on the curlers, you know what I'm saying?
You know, that was a good example of how these days the ice technicians the head ice technician, especially at a major event, is really under the microscope. How different is it now than from when you started making arena ice back in the mid-'70s? I mean, you went to a provincial final, played on a bad surface, and got into it from that, right? I don't think much attention was paid then, was it?
1974, I can remember, East York Arena. Okay, and I'm not, like in those days we had 13, 14 second ice, anyway, 15, you know, around that area. But this was really whomping way to play Paul Savage the first game I did. He was flowers in that game. But as it was partway through it, I asked Thompson, the fellow who was the third, I said, I'm not complaining. He was holding room for Paul. And he looked over to me. I said, I'm not complaining, but isn't the ice kind of tough? I said, but I'm not complaining because I was making everything. I like shit ice, you know what I mean? And but he said, oh, no, this is great ice. You ought to go to the bar. I said, what? I said, what? So after that, I broke up with my team because I wanted to start studying this more, the ice, and which I know it hurt me, but over the years I studied the ice, and then I understood that I would know there's something wrong in these rocks too. They're not the right width. They're not giving you what you want. I've been doing rocks since '69 on my own rocks, playing with them, and found that to make them wider, they were making them up until 1980. Everybody at 3 millimeter and 2 millimeter. Well, that wasn't the way to go. And get that all changed. Yeah. So in 1984, after I did all these tests on my own, I was moving them up to 5 millimeter and using them, and I still not comfortable. There's something in here that's not quite right. So what I did, I went to Whitby Curling Club, which Gordy Clare was the ice maker, and I knew it would be great ice. He had purified water. I asked Eddie Wernick, John Kawaja, and Neil Harrison if he'd come in, and this is very important for curling. Not only just for the pros, but we can do both. So I brought all these different types of rocks in 3 mil, 4 mil, 4.5, 5, all the way up to 7. Eh? And they started throwing them and checking them, and this is no good, that's no good. Oh, we like 5, but it's a nice big swing, but it's a little slow. It's 23 seconds. You know, that's what they want, 24. So we found the which we need for that, for championships. We found the swing we want, and then we did a test. Eddie and us, we weighed I had weights made for the rocks that were going from the rule books is not exceed 44 pounds. So I thought I went from 7 pounds all the way up to 44, hit them throwing them, and there's no difference at all. Other than, say, the 44 pound, which I had. I worked back 44, 43 and a half. They said other than that, be 2 feet when they start to dive, that would go 6 to 8 inches, that one, 6 to 8. And then we gradually went back to almost nothing at the rest. You understand me? But there's no 44s, no 43s. I never ever found any. I never found any 42s. Lots of 41s and 40s. So that's in what he said it was all hogwash, is not, because they played hits for me and draws.
Right.
So that at the end result, where we're on the average rock we're using, 40s and 41s, there was 0. They said. You
have an incredible collection of research, right, in your home.
I knew for years and years after I got into making championship ice, there's something wrong here about, I said, I don't think it's the crowd. They keep saying it's the crowd is making the ice get fudgy, and I don't believe that. But I'm only a grade 7 guy from the orphanage, so I would know. So this Jack Castle in Ottawa in 1995, I got a full big report. You won't believe how big it is. And he did this test and samples for me. It was nothing at all. At the end, it said it was all in the ultraviolet and infrared rays that go from the lights they have in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
That was really affecting the ice. It was nothing to do with the spectators at all. So we're working on we can get the lights now. I'm hoping for Hans to have lights that'll be no ultraviolet rays, no infrared rays, and that would be. Then he'll blow them away on the Olympics. But the key thing is I've introduced good rocks, if you want to use them, good rock, good speed, and the big swing. Hans is, to my opinion, always will. He's my best in the world, and Eric's right behind him with him. And Eric Montfort I'm talking about. And I went to the Worlds last year in the States. I don't know if you were there or not. I asked Vic to come down. I want to go down to this one, too, if he wouldn't mind. And I couldn't believe he's still doing all the records and everything the way he was taught. So there's only 2, 3 people. There's Hans and Eric and him and Lou and Paul. The only 3 people that did exactly reports and every in, how many much clip every end, every game, and all that information, and every 15 minutes checking the ice on the surface and recording all that.
Right.
And it's amazing that he's got great ice. Why?
He's put the work in, put the time in, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what about Mark Shurik and the Grand Slam ice?
Still got to do something with this rock a little more, to my opinion now, all right? Because I'm watching that on TV, and I think he needs I'm hoping we get him into the Scots, but they already got Merck in there. He's got to be working under Hans or myself, only for 2 or 3 events where they have big crowds, like 10, 12,000 people, 8,000 people. You understand me?
Right.
And that's all I think he's missing to get that other little bit of secrets and a little more knowledge about how to do rocks. What now, and I'm not knocking anybody, most of these guys are sanding their rocks just before the event. And they should know that ones this year that we used for the Worlds are the MCA rocks. Okay, in 1996, Manitoba brought me in to look at the rocks. They were so bad, and they got Burton to come over, and I used to coach him too. So look at these rocks. So I went over and I told him what to do. I didn't have my own sharpening equipment that day. You get them done with this certain person, fly me in, and I'll finish them off to where they should be. And they did that, and they've been going to this day. And okay, I'll give you an example now. These guys doing sanding rocks in the events, and that's a no-no, and it's terrible. But here's what Hans will do his normally at the beginning of the year with the ladies' championship in their province, right?
Right.
So he touches them up there, and then they're normally good now to do the men's, which is 32 teams. And then from that, they went to the Scots this year with the use of his rocks, and he had to do it because he's going to Japan. And then I heard they're going to Winnipeg, Edmonton, and I phoned right away to Hans and sent him an email. I said, look, you know and I know, those rocks don't have to be touched.
So some of these guys in your mind are sanding the rocks too much.
Way too much, and that means you're getting inconsistency. And the thing is, too, that so I got a hold of him. I said, you better tell Merck, or at first I said, you better tell Neil Houston, that you better stop this, because I know goddamn well he's going to sand those rocks like he did at the bar. And you know, and I know, Hans, that those rocks do not have to be touched. So, no, you got to hold him, tell him to leave the damn rocks alone, because they're his rocks. You understand me?
Right.
Guess what? They raved about the rocks. They didn't touch them. But I'd watching the game, but I would know after the 6th inning, he straightened out that I knew he touched them, but he did not touch them because he went all week at curl 60 all week. But I can tell because I was watching the bar, and you could see it. After 4 or 5 innings, it got straighter and straighter and straighter. You know they were sanding. That's what happens when you're sanding, but you don't know what you're doing. The method I have, and only Hans and Eric and myself know, and Hans and Eric will never tell anybody how we do them.
They won't tell anyone?
I've worked too hard. I've worked too hard to learn all this knowledge. So they got me to the Scots in '94 in KW, and then the next one was Scots in Calgary, and now they're starting to wonder, holy shit, this guy's doing something. So then he took me away from the Scots, which I wanted to stay all the time, because they see they can have good ice, and also in there they were taking all the ice out, and I was going, what the hell is this for? Well, you have to do that's in the rule. I said, listen, that's crazy.
Oh, when you go into the arena, taking all the ice out first?
Yeah, well, you don't want that. So anyway, at Calgary, what I say to them, unfortunately, it usually takes a week and a half to 2 weeks to get the ice in. I said, listen, let me do it my way. So they did it in Calgary. I took a whole bunch, started flooding again before I took all the boards out, and also in Kamloops, leave it alone. Give me a 3/4 and I'll take it. They did. Calgary, it was $150,000 a day.
Right.
And we were going to start the Wednesday before. Didn't have to start the Sunday night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 5 days at $150,000. How much is that? So we gave them a fortune, and I really give a thank you for that. So now they can do every event now without going week to 10 days beforehand.
You should get a cut.
Well, you'd think so, but they don't even thank you for that.
CCA's a little short of revenue to give you a cut right now.
I have problems with them, so I resigned, and I'm looking like I want to come back on because I'm getting a little sick of what's happening with somebody out there is using rocks that are not even closely matched for the ladies, and it's just awful for the ladies. I had an interview all the ladies last year, and it was just awful. They didn't know what it was. And you get this percentages. I have all the percentages of the Olympic trials. Yeah, I have all the stats, and the stats last year before, that was the strongest field I've ever seen in my life in ladies. And how come at the Olympic trials, the poorest field they've ever had, and they're all high percentages. If you pull your books out and you look at the Scots, terrible percentages, and they got the best they've ever had, but because of bad rocks. they're assuming that they're using CTA rocks, and everybody didn't bother. They got the best sponsor in the world. They got the best woman, a person in the world, with Robin Wilson running it.
Right.
You understand me? I'm willing to design. They got their own rocks for the Scots only, no charge. That'll be guaranteed. I'd have Paul said, which always helps me in the event if I want to tighten them up with speed traps. I get them right to the tight of every curl, phone them straight up. And I would do that, and then after that, I run them off with the Glenn at his club there. I was offering. I got a whole bunch of rocks right now. The Commons. I would offer free of charge, guaranteed, full.
So you were going to give them a set of your own rocks.
Full. I'm guaranteed that they're all perfectly matched.
Right, matched by Glenn Howard.
Yeah, and Paul Savvy first, and then we double check him with Glenn. And I was going to ask Glenn when I go up there north, so which I'll see him next week anyway. And the other thing is for free, nothing as long as Scott Hertz is running it and Robin Wilson, and no charge, and nobody's allowed to touch this rock. All I ask if I can come in to unpack them, be there to pack them, so nobody can be sanding them and playing around with them. You understand me?
Right.
And you don't have to. Those rocks are good for 10 or 12 years events. If you do them right, you won't have to touch them, as long as they're stored right. You understand
you
me?
wouldn't see sanding them for 10 years.
No.
Yep.
I know that for a fact.
Right.
The ones I did in the skin games are at least time on, but I use them all for the Ontarios, everywhere. So I know how long they'll do, as long as they're not inserts. If they're inserts, then we know we have to do them after 3 or 4 events.
So what did they say to your proposal?
I haven't sent it up to, I'm getting...
Oh, you're getting it together.
I'm frustrated, like, I'm another shit disturber, so I don't know whether I'm going to send to Lindsay or not, because I think it's important.
Well, now they know. They're going to know now, Shorty.
Well, I'm being honest. I'd love to be... I'll say some more then. I'd love to person-to-person with Robin and have a chat with him person-to-person, and I got all the information in my basement. Nobody's seen it, other than I've talked to Paul way back, but he can't get more involved because he's working with the CCA, so I kept his name out of it.
So here's the proposal right here, right?
I'm so upset because I've got hundreds of people around this area, women. Look at this. It's terrible. I can throw better than that. I said, listen, I've been fighting for those girls. Listen, you don't know what the hell's going on out there. You don't know about the rocks. You don't know about these girls are good.
I know, and women's curling has a bad rap right now that the game isn't very good.
Yeah, and Knocking Kelly, the girl from BC who won twice. Sure, you got to remember, she's the only one that had a coach there who was the world champion in the barge, and he was the only one who knew how to pick the rocks out. So they had no problems. He's the only one out there. There's a whole bunch of other coaches just looking at this, and they didn't know what they were doing. You know?
So the other coaches weren't up to his standards, were they?
No, not even close.
Hey, how many clubs out there do you think they have a problem with their ice really have a problem with their rocks?
I would say a lot, most of them.
Yeah.
You can have the best ice maker in the world, and the rocks are not good. You're going to have it's not good, or it's vice versa. You can have the best rocks in the world there, and the ice maker doesn't know anything. It's for naught also. But I think the major thing you're going to find is his rocks.
What are a couple of things you think, easy things that clubs could do to improve their playing conditions? Clubs, not the arenas.
A couple of things would be, if they have a power skate, to make sure they get a blade that is good, because that really ruins the ice, and they must check the blade every day, and there's a way to check them to make sure it's good. A lot of people don't know. They get the blade, and they say, well, it's new, they don't even look. And that's why I'm finding my biggest problem when I go around a lot of clubs in this area right now and help for nothing.
Bad blades.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what's killing for the last 6 years, most of it. What I'm doing now in a lot of clubs, I'm doing one side for the members and one side for the pros.
Okay.
You understand me? Because the pros, if we give the members the pro rocks, then they're only getting 2.5, 3 feet, the way the members throw, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they throw, and they're going 4 feet, but only going, or 4 and 4 and a bit, but they're only going 1.5 or 2 for the pros. So I got two-sided rocks in a lot of clubs now, and they just love it.
And clubs are what, they're switching them over when they have a big spiel or something, or what?
Yeah, the ones that are matched are the pro ones.
Okay.
So they're on top. So they will. The majority of the members don't know. The club members, they have to be happy and get some rocks. They want to see lots of rocks to play,
right.
But they don't want this 8-9 foot swing, which would happen with most of them with the dead fish handles. You understand me?
Right.
And I've done a lot of clubs like that. And geez, I'll tell you, boy, they just love it because all of a sudden, when you come into my spiel, they see these rocks swinging 5 and 6. Oh, and they're all proud. These are our rocks. They think they're the ones they're using, but they are, but they're upside down. They don't know that.
Right.
You don't have to. They're just sitting up there. Oh, they're raving about our rocks.
So if the club,
everybody's happy, that's the main thing, isn't it? There's a lot of clubs down in the States that don't have rocks that are pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
And because they make a nickel dime here, then they go and send them here.
Hey, you were one of the first guys to use a stopwatch, right?
I was first one way back. I was at Trenton where I first started in '66. One day they say ice is great. The next day they say, what the hell happened to the ice? It's so slow, heavy. What do you mean? I did everything the same. Well, I'm just learning again. So I used to help little racing cars, and used to go to Watkins, Lane and Glen, and up St. Pete and all those places. And we were using this watch, for racing.
Right.
So I went and buy one of these. So I tried it. And at first it was reverse, and I said, holy shit, there's nothing wrong here. But it was 13 seconds. Well, geez, that's fast. But it's not. So it took me a while to figure it out. And then it's reverse. So then I found out why. Holy shit, he's right. What happened? I have a sudden snap below outside.
Right.
We're just block wall, one heater. It would make the ice around 14, 15 degrees surface. Well, no wonder it was heavy, slow. So in the years, I tried different things now and turn the pressures off and try to get another heater in to get it better. Carried that through, and then all my school explained all that, and they've been struggling with the Scots. Other than this year, Hans did the Scots this year because he had to go to Japan. But out of the since I've been involved, '94 was my first one. From '94 till this present, when Hans did the ices, that's 3. There's only been 4 times where they've had good ice.
Well, we'll see if they bite on this rock proposal.
Yeah, see, there's only 4 times. There was one in the 2 I did, and one in Brandon. That Eric Montfort technically did. Work was in charge, but it was Eric. And then Hans at the one in Lethbridge. I guess they went berserk. They just loved the ice.
Right.
And the rocks. They loved them. There's only a couple of fillies on those rocks anyway. We know there's always going to be a winner. We know the top 6, somebody in there is going to win. Well, give them good rocks, and the ones who are getting zeros and that, let them, they're not going to win. Let them win 1 or 2 or 3 games.
Right.
Give them some goddamn rocks. At least they're going to win a few games. You understand me?
Right.
That's what's really bothered me. If I put all my efforts in this over the years. I had Scott rocks. I call them Scott rocks, and I had somebody buckle me down, and I don't have them anymore. And ever since then, they went really bad. And they're only supposed to use for the Scots, but now they're. All I get information back is they're really bad. Anyway, I have to be free of charge. No charge. Other than they got a ship in there. Whoever does that. I'm so frustrated. Sorry for the ladies. Right. I really am. Other than that, again, don't get me wrong. Hans can't do them every year. I'm sure he'd love to do it, but he's number one. He's got to be able to do his own province, which is the Briar this year. He can't go and lead somewhere else. They'll shoot him. He's unbelievable. And he did Japan. That's why he dropped the Briar. He went to Japan.
Yeah.
When Kay Zucker asks you to do something, you do it. You just don't say, "How will you?" You just do it. I'm enjoying life, but the thing is, I was raised in an orphanage in Victoria, BC, and I said, someday I want to help people if I can, and I'm doing it, but I'm very, very upset about the Scots.
Well,
not
Shorty,
the sponsor, not Robin Wilson. And, but all I'm doing is this shit, as far as they're concerned, the CCA concerned. Anyway, they don't understand, but we're trying to fix things. Why don't you fix it and shut up? At the Worlds, when I was doing these, when I was in Scotland for many years, at the World Congress, I said, listen, you SOBs, this is wrong, that's wrong. You should start thinking about doing. Guess what? They have a big meeting, and they fix it. I'll tell you right now, to work for anybody out there, World Curling Federation, at least they'll listen, and majority of the time will fix the problem. If you do it anywhere else, the OCA or the CCA, you're in shit. You don't even have a meeting. It's just a shit stirrer, and I'm not going to change either.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's too bad because I think over the years, Canada's organizations didn't listen to you enough, but
no,
they didn't listen to a lot of people either. But maybe after these last meetings, maybe we hear that they're getting a message.
The other thing too is that upset me a lot because where it is today, the ice, and there's still a lot of ice, but it couldn't be better. But Hans can only do so many, you know what I mean?
Right.
And Eric, and it's a shame to work all this into that, and they won't even let me in on the ice to give the girls a hug like they did at London. I wanted to give them a hug, and I was told to get off by who. Just, the first package before they all package all day.
Right.
I always do that, and the girls love it.
Yeah.
But the second group come in, I was told to get off the goddamn ice. So guess what I did? Jumped my car and went home. So pissed off. It's things like that. And do you think I'm going to tell them the ice is bad in the rocks? I knew they were. I wasn't going to say that to them. You think I'm going to get something in the brain before they start?
Right.
I said, the first thing I said, I don't know nothing about ice, I don't know nothing about rocks, but I did offer to the CCA I would match rocks for no charge of my own.
All right, well, there's that proposal. We're going to lay it out right here to the CCA. You don't even have to put it in writing now, Shorty. It's out there.
I offered to match one of my speech. No charge. I was told, no, don't worry about it. It's only the ladies. No. I almost threw up. That's what I really walked out for when I said that. No wonder you see all these people around the country, these average curlers saying they're better than those guys. Because all those clubs around there, my area, is all good rock. The women are doing great. There's the ones at the bottom. Okay, give them a chance. Give them good rocks. Because a lot of those coaches, they don't know anything about rocks. The women I assume, are trusting them. The rocks, they figure the CCA.
Well, there you have it. Shorty Jenkins, champion of women's rights, wants the Scott Tournament of Hearts to be better.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather only do the Scots anyway. I never wanted to go and do the Briars to teach you people. I wanted to stay with the Scots, but I was pulled away. I know it wasn't Robbins that didn't want me anymore. I was pulled away by CCA to train other people in for Briars and World, where the bigger crowds were. But
right.
I was so broken-hearted because of the way the women have been treated. But I'm going to tell you right now, they are the best. There's nobody ever going to touch them for our sponsors. They're great personalities. They're wonderful to work with. They're very friendly. And Robin Wilson, with all her work, I've seen times where she looked like she's dragging on the ground, but she wants it done right. And I'm the same thing, and I'm not going to change.
Well, don't go changing, Shorty.
And I'm here if you need me to. You know that.
All right, Shorty. I appreciate it.
That's Shorty Jenkins on The Curling Show. Since many people subscribe to this podcast and don't have to visit thecurlingshow.com to hear the interviews, I'll let everyone know that, at the suggestion of a few listeners, I've added a very understated support the show button on the site. So if you enjoy the show, consider making a small donation via PayPal or a credit card now and again, and I'll announce your name during a future podcast. As always, thanks for listening.